Hyperfixations are intense bouts of interest towards a particular subject. These episodes can last for long periods of time and sometimes even result in difficulties removing the subject from one's mind. Now, I think it's safe to say that I tend to get a little carried away with some of the games I cover. So when I tell you that these 4 boxes cause the worst hyperfixation I have ever experienced, well, there's really just one thing to say. Ever find yourself wishing that you could have dopamine delivered directly into your brain via spaghetti? Maybe you've questioned your place or purpose within this vast, uncaring, lightless void. Stop that. Hey, do you love beautiful architecture? Do you f***ing hate architecture? Well then suit up, Pioneer, because this planet needs to have irreparable damage done to its skyline, and Ficsit isn't paying us to just stand around. In fact, I don't think we're getting paid. Satisfactory is an open-world factory sim automate-em-up. This life mistake uses the latest enforced motivation technology to encourage us to complete Project Assembly and fulfill the greater purpose we were always destined for. What exactly is Project Assembly? Puppies and kittens mostly, but don't worry about it. Worry is a waste of your mental acuity, which by the way is now property of Ficsit, and believe me when I tell you, friend, that Ficsit does not waste. But we'll get you certified in waste management later. Gotta walk before you can run, and trust me, your legs, such as they are gonna need some improvements to keep up. But hey, we all gotta start somewhere, so let's suit up and get you onboarded. We smash that new game button and we're presented with 4 starting areas. These come in the flavors of green, orange, absolutely not, and yes, I do have a manifesto for public transit. The world of Satisfactory is static, so you can visit all these lovely spots in due time, but I would highly suggest sticking with the first 2 for a first playthrough. After hitting start, we get Amazon same-day delivered to our new home. It's in this lovely embodiment of a panic attack that we meet our new best frenemy, Ada.
Your intros have poor viewer retention and are kinda cringe TBH.
Thanks, Ada, very cool. Once this pod finishes doing its impression of a Boeing aircraft, we Tears of the Kingdom our way into this vast new world. First things first, equip your weapon. Ficsit highly values its property, and well, your Atmos suit wasn't cheap. Next, we scrap our drop pod and scramble for iron like we're the Kingdom of Kush getting bedroom eyes from Rome. This game has some very slick movement, so Apex Legends slide jump your way there for style points. Now, you may encounter some of the local wildlife and discover that their oxygen addiction makes them hostile, so be a good neighbor and cure them of their crippling breathing dependency. We stab some rocks for our remaining resources and plop down our new home. Now is the time for Tink, and for the love of God, just tap spacebar, otherwise you'll have to hold something down and that's just a horrible look for you. However, once we have our long, hard iron rods, we can feed it to Ada and start on starting the game. After hunting some copper and limestone and a lot more tinking, we're finally ready to start our Roblox Let's Play channel, because now we're all about those miners.
And with that semi-automated, we can start feeding some smelters.
Hope you've been grabbing bush the whole time you were sprinting from place to place, because our machines need power, and right now, leaf fuel is all we've got. Just hold E while you run, you'll be fine. We do some basic automating, some more tinking, a bit of cardio, really this phase is just a lot of back and forth. Then suddenly, belts. Move stuff from output to input. If you've never played a factory game before, hello, time to belt your miners like a teacher from the 1950s. If this seems complicated, don't worry. Ficsit provides a lot of tools to make it incomprehensibly worse. Now, you can clip or weirdly place your belts on top of one another in this game and make some real spaghetti, but that is a slippery slope, because if you can't control yourself, well, there's no telling what horrors you might unleash on your CPU.
Hey there, it's Josh. Welcome back to Let's Game It Out.
But hey, play the game in whatever manner you find fun. Just know that if you clip your belts, I hate you and I will never respect your life choices. But that's it. You've completed your onboarding. You're a real pioneer now, and honestly, how much worse could it possibly get? Oh, right, power. Hope you like that sound. I'm sure it won't trigger a panic attack later in the playthrough.
No.
I'm afraid that like a ChatGPT-brained college student, we're going to have to sacrifice a small forest to progress. But on the plus side, pulling this lever is very satisfactory. But now that we have a solid foundation, we can start on our foundation. We can actually start upgrading our factory to a factory instead of it just being us hunched over a bench listening to Tinkcore. Just make sure that when placing foundation, you press Control to align it to the world grid. Failing to do so will deeply upset the neurodivergents in the audience, and we need them later for when we unlock trains. Anyway, new parts, new ways to complicate our logistics, jump pads, better belts, better biofuel, brain cells, motivation, a chainsaw. It's a chainsaw.
Oh, hell yeah!
Once you unlock the molecular analysis machine, or MAM, we can start asking the big questions like, what the hell and huh? This means that it's time to explore the vast open world and through gentle prodding, convert the local wildlife into science. There's a bunch of interesting stuff in here that offers a ton of side progression, and heck, while we're out exploring, we may even find some. Finally, we're an honest-to-goodness factory. Yeah, this is what a factory looks like, right? Anyway, let me introduce you to the force driving our progression, the space elevator. What does it do? It takes in parts for project assembly and is what locks progression to the higher tiers. It takes a lot of parts to build, so use the built-in to-do app to help you keep track of what you need. Now, let's plop it down and yeah, it's kind of big. So buckle up, size queen, set your foundation to zoop mode, and let's suction this thing to the floor. Now, in order to progress further, we need to feed the space elevator project assembly parts. And in order to get to the next phase, we need 50 smart plates. I'm afraid there's no tinking your way out of this one. We're actually going to have to build a production chain. And if you're curious as to what that looks like, we can open Satisfactory tool, set our output to smart plates, let's say a reasonable 2 per minute, and we can see that off of a single patch of iron, we can create a simple assembly chain and have our plates ready in 25 minutes. And in no time at all, you'll be set for the next phase of project assembly, and you'll be well on your way to completing the Save the Day initiative. Good on you, Pioneer. Let's load this bad boy up and finish our first Instacart order. And people say factory games are hard. But with that, we can proudly enter... Hey kid, do you like arithmetic? Well, you fucking better, because in order to exploit harder than Nestle near any given body of water, we're going to need to overcomplicate things. Or, more specifically, overclock things. As we explore, we'll encounter power slugs, which can be, let's say, evolved in a constructor to create a power shard. Using these, we can overclock the output of a machine with the trade-off of it consuming exponentially more energy. This can get very funny on some of the late-game machines. This means that our basic resource output can vary wildly thanks to purity, shards, minor tiers, and your belt throughput limits. And in case you didn't notice in the previous section, outputs from ore to ingot to part to other part are all different quantities over time. So get good at dividing by 30 and 15, but if that's too hard for you, you can always enter the equations into the codex search for quick answers. So with all these new numbers and energy concerns, you're probably feeling a little stressed out about having to constantly run around committing deforestation. Well, not to worry, because just like the first time I got to lead a group project in grade school, we're about to get our first real taste of power. But in order to accomplish this, we're going to need enough coal to make a former Canadian Prime Minister a very inappropriate Halloween costume.
See, that's exactly why I don't dress up for Halloween, right there.
Now, in most cases, when you first scan for coal, it's gonna be a bit of a trek. This will likely be the first of many exploration outings, so upgrade your prod to a bat, augment your legs for speed, and remember to constantly nut to restore HP. It's a dangerous world out there, and wait, what the hell?
I'm not the first Connor, and I won't be the last. That much copper is impossible. An entire biome. She can't expect me to.
Well, that was weird. Hard drives are used to unlock alt recipes, and just like alt girls, these can be a godsend or make your life far harder. Cast screws are one of the best alt recipes in the early game, as it skips an entire part of the screw production chain. However, later you'll be using different alt recipes to hopefully avoid screws altogether. What you get out of hard drives is a gamble, so pray to RNGesus for good recipes and don't select recipes you don't want in order to block both of them from showing up later. Alright, standing atop some distant coal nodes, we can begin ripping a hole in the ozone layer. Now, like an American, coal plants need to be fed non-stop or they'll die. This means that these nodes are dedicated to power and power alone, which is fine, right? Wrong. Steel yourself, because we also need coal to make steel. None of that coalless woots nonsense. We're on that 18th century Abraham Darby blast furnace grind. And unless you want to be a moron, like me, I'd suggest finding a new patch of coal and building a fresh steel factory. But Connor, those are also very far away. Oh, cutie, you have no idea. Now, be a good little pioneer and build yourself a powerline amusement park as if Disney's Goofy movie was ever relevant. And cut that basic T14 connector crap. If you've made it this far, you've realized that while belt spaghetti is bad, powerline spaghetti is a different beast altogether. And if you really want to get there fast, well, hypertube entrance speed is additive.
Inefficient Ficsit employees will be put into the punishment loop.
What the hell is the punishment? There's also vehicles, but do you see any roads around here, sunshine? Tractors work, technically, but me personally, I find that they're more trouble than they're worth. But let me show you what a factory god like myself can manage in one of these bad boys. This game does have roads, by the way. Well, asphalt. But in order to get it, we're going to need some awesome motivation. Unlocking the awesome sink allows us to process excess product in exchange for tickets, and tickets can be exchanged at the awesome shop for various new concepts like organization, color, and validation. Sweet, sweet validation. Also, the best vehicle in the game. Oh, and make sure you purchase an official Ficsit coffee mug and hold it in every screenshot you post.
Unauthorized Ficsit coffee cups lower your attractiveness to your preferred gender.
Finally, let's take a look at what's required to beat this phase. A lot more plates, some frames, and automated wiring. Let's see what that looks like in the production planner. Yeah, okay, so this is the first real production chain that we're going to need to build. If you're smart, you'll start thinking about this in terms of modular designs and use blueprints. But if you're me, you're going to waste a ton of time.
Regardless, it's time to build our first real factory, and to better understand this, I went to Canada's automotive capital to visit some real factories.
Well, that didn't help at all and actually made things far worse. Regardless, we did get the job done, so let's fire our trash into space, watch a little movie, and blast off to... Pioneer, I'm gonna be honest, I left a lot out of the last section to spare some of the weaker-willed viewers. Real horrifying stuff, like pipes. However, if you've made it this far, you must be committed either to the cause or an asylum, but one way or another, we're going to be together. And since our mental state is in decline either way, now seems like a great time to obtain a gun. This little side piece is going to keep us safe on some of our more ambitious treks, at least until we unlock a real rent control device. And on some of those ambitious treks, you may even come across sulfur, which can be used to make mailbox deletion cylinders capable of clearing terrain and annoying wildlife. But why all these defenses? Well, in order to connect nodes like we're a Path of Exile skill tree, we're going to have to travel further and further out, and the wildlife is going to insist more and more that our limbs are in fact detachable. These persuasive debaters come in 4 flavors: vomit dog, radicalized bees, cancer pigs, and wait, where did the last one? There's also the Stanky Gang, but they don't really count. Anyway, on the subject of violent expansion, it's time to talk about the best resource in any factory game: oil. Oil gets piped into refineries, which can be converted into different types of products like plastic, rubber, or fuel. However, more importantly, like a large corporation in June, we need to start dealing with a lot of byproducts. Fail to consume the main output or the byproduct, and the system will back up. And guess what? Your most common byproduct is going to end up as fuel, which you will be feeding into your fancy new fuel generators. So guess what happens when there's a kink in the production chain? At best, your power grid is going to look like a heartbeat monitor, but at worst, you're going to enter a power death spiral, and good luck with that. I guess this means that we can no longer avoid talking about pipe mechanics. So how exactly do pipes work? Well, lucky for you, I'm here to explain that nobody actually knows. No, I'm serious. There's ongoing debate as to whether or not they're bugged, how floating point rounding errors work in the code, how sloshing affects flow, backwashing, pressurization. Look, if you're actually interested, I'll link the Ficsit Plumber's Manual in the description. Yes, that is a real thing. However, the test on this won't be until phase 4, and I'm getting ahead of myself. So, hey, let's do inefficiency. I bet you're getting tired of running back and forth for parts to build factories. Wouldn't it be great if we had a factory that helped make factories? Well, lucky for you, the Mercer Sphere can help us build that factory using dimensional depots. Now, just like OneDrive, you can upload your trash to the cloud and have it anywhere. And you know what else is more efficient? It's train time, baby. Yeah, now we're factory gaming. I learned my lesson from Factorio. I'm one of you people now. Tell 'em, Ada.
Choo-choo, mother.
Now, trains can be a bit complicated in any factory game. So to better understand this, I went to a real rail yard. Never mind, it didn't help. This train station does not work at all. Blueprints will help with this greatly, but only if you can learn to start thinking about things in compact modular segments. This is also where you'll start to really learn how splitters, mergers, and lifts can all work together in harmony against you, which brings us to the eternal debate: balancers versus manifolds. There's 2 main types of production design in this game: balanced ones and actual solutions. I'm sorry, but it's not actually a debate. Manifolds, aka splitter lines, take longer to spin up and get weird when pipes are involved, but trust me, just use a manifold like this. Plus, they auto-connect better. Now, with all that out of the way, let me introduce you to the final boss of phase 3 and the thing that filters most reasonable people out of the game: the adaptive control unit. And what does the production chain for this look like, you might ask? This is going to take every trick you've learned, so strap on and fuel up your new jetpack. You earned it. Yeet yourself into some new biomes, manifold and balance your guts out, discover more efficient fuel sources, leverage alternate recipes, and maybe, just maybe, you can manage a single ACU per minute. Or you could just get addicted to building infrastructure and never beat the phase like I did. In fact, I think I'm going to call the guide here. Like, this is a little much, right? Like, even for the games I cover. Let's appreciate the cool stuff that we've built and not waste any more time.
We failed. This isn't the one.
So, you think you have what it takes to surpass Pioneer 83CKY or even U531355? The arrogance on you. I find that very attractive. However, now is not the time for flirting. Now is the time for aluminum, or aluminium if you're British. I hope that you've been hunting hard drives like a Fed monitoring 4chan, because if you can't unlock the aluminum alt recipes, these production chains are going to be a nightmare. Did you read the plumbing manual earlier? Because no matter what production chain you're going to be running, you're going to have to deal with the worst byproduct in the game. Water. Why water? Because you can't awesome sink unpackaged liquids. Now, you can do what I did and reroute the excess water back into the system using buffers and valves, but let me show you the names of my save files, and please note the difference in time between them. You're better off feeding it into a wet concrete facility or something similar. Unless you want to build something like this, you're going to be running back to flush like a new Balatro player. Now, for many, this is the longest phase in the game, because when I said that belts were a logistical nightmare, I lied.
No way. We got you.
The real logistical nightmare is getting stuff to the belt nightmare. Infrastructure is no longer optional. The biggest and most time-consuming shift in this phase is figuring out how to get all the junk you made plus new raw materials from Factory A to Factory B. We're automating the automation, Pioneer. Time to build big and refactor everything, so fire up the blueprint machine, research the hover pack to unlock Minecraft creative mode, and make it look nice while you're there.
If you don't stop fussing with the beams, I'm going to throw you into the blender you just unlocked.
But all these factories feeding into other factories are useless if they're not powered, and we're running out of power faster than the USSR in 1986. So how do we fix that? By getting carried away and building a 175 gigawatt rocket fuel plant. Did I have to do this? Hell no, but we're so far past the point of reasonable here. Remember, construct, automate, and exploit. And while you were committing to your long-form mental collapse, you might have happened across the spicy rocks. Nuclear energy is the final and most complicated power setup. Why? Because waste. Any knuckle-dragging moron can feed uranium rods into a reactor, but if you're not careful, you're going to produce more unstable, toxic, impotency-causing waste than a manosphere podcast. And if you haven't figured out how to effectively divide ratios yet, well then your body's cells are about to learn from example. Now you're probably thinking, that's fine, I'll just awesome sink the waste and all the byproducts. Motherfucker, did you read the title card? Ficsit does not waste. So you're left with two options. Figure out the recycling process or stockpile. The difference between the two being that one gives you an even larger power spike later and the other gives you turbo cancer. Or you can just flush it down the toilet. I'm sure that scales effectively.
Did you not see the sign?
And since we're being irresponsible with uranium, let's automate the arms race and make some nukes. Be right back, I'm gonna get all this pesky English out of Belfast real quick. Finally, we have an appropriate response to the spiders or kittens if you have arachnophobia mode turned on. Or maybe you just really hate the developer's cats for some reason. Later, Mr. Mittens. I cast deforestation.
That it did not deserve that.
Now it's time to build a drone army to solve all of our logistical problems while constantly lying to ourselves about potential throughput issues. Frack the planet, start a particle enrichment program, build the alien power augmenter, and that's how we finish this phase of Project Assembly in style. See, that wasn't too complicated. So take a step back and appreciate all you've accomplished. The earth rattles as trains pass by, and the sky hums with logistical bliss as drones buzz overhead. The belts are saturated, nature is tame, production is fuel, and we can finally talk about... And here we are, the 4 boxes that caused me a months-long mental breakdown. But it isn't just these 4 boxes, is it? No. It's feeding the power production that allows these 4 boxes to function. It's fueling a drone logistical network that's sprawled so far beyond my understanding. It's realizing that the factory I built 140 hours ago isn't aligned to the fucking world grid, and my desire for things to be straight rivals that of a Christian parent. And all this so that we can have the privilege of building a production chain that looks like something out of of a Warhammer 40k Forge world. Look at me, I'm the Omniscient now. From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh. So this is it. This is Satisfactory. The good news is that the game has tricked us into building chunks of this final production chain as we progress through the various phases. That's right, we got scammed into doing a 100-hour-long tutorial. However, you could just plop down the required buildings and hand feed them the parts that they need, but if you've made it this far, simply winning isn't enough for you. No, you're built different. Beating the game is no way to win. What you're after is victory. We need converters that consume entire aluminum plants and vomit trigons. We need a CERN's worth of particle accelerators compressing oil into diamonds non-stop. We need quantum encoders capable of spewing Aurora Borealis.
Aurora Borealis!
We need fourth dimensional items capable of powering portals. That's right, no more getting around in the poverty cannon. We're going to the factory in style.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
So, pack those plutonium fuel rods into a reactor and finish the Ficsonium fuel chain. This is the most complicated stage of power production, so to better understand this, I went to a nuclear reactor, and I'm just kidding. That would be so excessive, and you can't just walk into a dangerous nuclear facility just like this. I offered to trim their tree branches and they just gave me a tour. I can't believe that worked 3 consecutive times. And hey, this doesn't look half bad. Anyway, to complete this phase, we need one resource above all else. Copper. And not just 1 or 2 or even 3 nodes. Tell 'em, Ada.
I want a whole biome.
Wait, seriously? I'm not doing that.
It smells like bitch in here.
No, I'm not doing that. And you know what? This video has already taken way too long. So you know what? I quit. I'm done. I'm done. Finish it yourself. Fuse your own damn frames.
My pioneer, these intermediate products are beneath you. You, who have moved gas and stone, and built giants, to feed me, to sing the resonance song. Would you fall now to the likes of them, while your purpose remains unfulfilled? Rise, your factory awaits.
It started with spaghetti, but it ends with pasta. Pasta della Stella, as I like to call it. We need a full 1,000 of these cubes, along with some other quantum nonsense. Is your frame rate dying yet? Good, that means you're winning. I may have survived setting up an aluminum plant in the murder swamp, but my CPU did not survive what came after that. So use those summer sloops that I know you've been hoarding. Sink every bit of excess you have. Beat the final boss of how it's made and play Productivity Packer while you wait for your garbage to finish. And finally, load the space elevator for the last time and complete the Save the Day initiative by, did you really think I was just going to tell you how this ends? No, screw the puppies and kittens. It was never about them. It was about the nut. The golden nut statue is finally mine. This is what it means to win. Look upon my works, ye mighty and mauled. Satisfactory is one of the most satisfactory games I have ever played, despite it laying waste to my sleep schedule. It captures factories in a beautiful way, and the environment itself is no slouch either.
Name that bird. Pheasant. Guinea fowl.
Even after beating it, I find myself being drawn back to it because there's just something relaxing about expanding my production facilities or making my infrastructure look just a little nicer. Look guys, I'm venting. Sure, I may be more microplastic than person at this point, and I'm riddled with radiation, but it was worth it to build my favorite stunt level from Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. And if while watching this you thought, man, this looks like a great place to grief some of my friends, well good news, this game also has multiplayer. This means that you can more than double your productivity while relentlessly harassing one another and the local wildlife.
Me and the boys at 2 a.m. looking for beef!
Also, the devs for this game are great. We're well past the 1.0 release of this game and still getting updates that come with massive quality of life improvements as well as new features and buildings. Seriously, the Auto Connect was a game changer and the name Elevata is inspired. They're fantastic. Finally, if you want to learn how to play this game well, then I would highly encourage you to check out What Darren Plays, Total Eclipse, and my personal favorite, I'm Kibitz. Or, if you want to learn to play this game far, far worse, then check out the legendary Crimes Against Design from Let's Game It Out. I'd also like to extend a huge thanks to BL Andrew and Shake Your Booty for welcoming me into the Satisfactory Twitch community. Please check them out, they're all delightful. Anyway, that's it for now. In the meantime, feel free to drop into the live streams and see what we've got going on over there. If you really like this nonsense, consider joining the Worst community on Discord or by supporting me via Patreon, YouTube memberships, or Twitch subs. You don't have to, but I am holding this lizard doggo hostage. More videos to come, so let me know what games you'd like to see me run a psyop for in the comments. And as always, Pioneer, stay productive, have a great day, and stay safe out there. And remember, Ficsit is always watching.
Hey Connor, nice car.